right, so now let's use this math for real world stuff. Okay? So, what do you have in your arsenal right now that could potentially make you a lot of money? What do you have available from what you learned today? Which letter up here is to your most benefit that could potentially, if you were to invest, make you a lot of money one day? X. X is what you have at your disposal. You're young. You have a long time before something could mature. Let's say that for Christmas you got $1,000. $1,000 from so many people, all the money combined, they gave you money for Christmas, and it came out to $1,000. And instead of going out and buying that nice brand new Xbox or whatever, you chose to invest it. You with me? And you chose to invest it in a safe, kind of conservative investment that gave you only 3%. That's it. Just 3% back. Okay? But let's say when you got this money, you were 5 years old. And whenever you graduated, which was 13 years later, you were ready to go to college. You see where I'm going with this? Let's see what this $1,000 can do just for that one time that you got $1,000. 1,000 times 1.03 raised to the power of 13 just became 1,400. And you're probably like, what? No. I would have rather spent that money. But instead of 18 years old, remember, you got this at what age did you get this? 5. So instead of 18 years old, you waited till the next year, 19, to actually cash in that money. You're like, that's still not that much. But then you needed money for college. You needed money to finish college, or you wanted to go to med school. And you're like, man, I just needed a couple more years to get me there for that money to blow up. Okay? So let's say 4 years later, it still doesn't feel like it's growing per se. Well, what's happening is this. It is growing, and it'll take a little bit before it starts growing. Let's say that, man, finally when I'm 30 years old, right, which is 25 years after I got it, it's starting to now double. You see where I'm going with this? And you're like, man, this is still too old. I don't see it growing. But let's say that it's 50, which is 45 years later after you got it, it's starting to grow even more. My point is, one thing that it's not growing as fast is it still hasn't been enough time. Most people retire about what age? About 65 or 70? Let's say 70. So 65, now finally we're starting to look at something. It took a while, but that one time we put $1,000 in for investment at this very, very low risk, mediocre return of 3%, it's starting to now make some money. So what is it that you do? Well, the thing is that if you compound interest, you could put $1,000 every year. And as you put $1,000 every year, you're going to make this grow, the overall thing. You see what I'm saying? Which with this same amount of time is going to make things grow even more. So people who invest, they don't just invest a one-time thing and then just let it grow forever. They're investing, they're investing, they're investing. You see what I'm saying? And that's what this is surrounded by. Okay, so let me show you something. The average car will depreciate about 15% each year. my biggest mistake that I made was I bought a car. So I flipped a house. In 2 years, I bought a house in a very, very close location where my next door neighbors, not too far across the street, were paying about this much in taxes each year, which is a lot in property taxes. And I, not too far away, was paying about this. But I increased my value on my house because I improved the tile, hardwood floors, electric, surround sound, and I did it all myself. I didn't pay for labor, I did it myself. And in 2 years later, I made about $100,000 in net profit. So now I could go to Wall Street if I wanted with $100 grand and start investing. The biggest mistake that I made is I went and bought a family car, a $40,000 Toyota Sienna, and I paid it off cash. I paid it cash. I didn't even have one payment to pay on that car. Why was that such a huge mistake? Well, now not only do I not have a house, what do car values do no matter what? They depreciate, unless you have classics, right? But you have years of those to become classics. And you don't know which ones become classics. So instead of paying monthly, I lost $40,000 that I could have actually invested. I invested it into something that's losing each and every year. So let me show you what I did with this $40,000. So $40,000, it was depreciating by how much percent? 15. And we are looking at 5 years. That $40,000 car was worth $17,000 after 5 years. And that's if it was in pristine condition. You with me? I could have made money off of that with $40,000. Let's say that I invested into something that had 8% return. I could have made $18,000 off of that money. You see what I'm saying? And for those 5 years, I could have paid a car payment of like $500 a month times 5 times 12. I could have just paid $30,000 if I did that car payment. So I'm still making money nonetheless because I'm investing. You see what I'm saying? It's all a balance of how much do you pay, how much is that interest, and how much is the time. Let me show you one more thing and then we'll call it a day. Caleb, how much do you think you would pay for a house that you would really want whenever you're older? How much is your house going to be when you're older?
50,000.
50,000? Okay. Are there any other numbers out there?
Why not how old?
Like when I go to buy a house, the average home in Prosper right now, and 50,000, that could be a number too. My house was 200,000. The average home in Prosper is 500,000. So let's buy a Prosper house, okay? Let's buy a Prosper house. 500,000. And what do you think is a good interest rate on houses? If you've heard your parents speak about this kind of stuff. And you probably don't know because you haven't done this, but you need to. This is real life stuff. You're going to be doing this soon. And either someone will make a lot of money off of you, or you will save a lot of money because you know this math.
The rates don't matter. It's mostly about tax thinking.
It does matter with the rates. The average rate right now is 3%. Okay? So let's do 3%. How long do people normally pay a house off? 30 years. The smart people pay it in 15 years, if they can afford it. Look how much we paid for a $500,000 home. We paid $1,213,631 for a $500,000 home. And that's at a really pretty decent interest rate. Go with me? But if I were to pay this off in 15 years, I would only pay $778,984. How much did I save by cutting it in half? I saved $434,648. And why? Because it all revolves around exponential growth. Questions? You still have a lot of experience to see with this, but to me, I think this is the most powerful unit this year. It's not even that difficult either. The math is pretty straightforward and easy. You with me? Alright, so I will assign homework. Homework is due, like I said, the third day when we come back, look at the calendar. Look for grades, look for my text-on-text reminder, make sure that you, whether or not you need to retest that last test before you go on spring break. And other than that, if there are no questions, we will stop right there.
Wait, is homework on Pearson?
Yeah. Alright, we will stop right there.